What's going on, guys? It's the Nightwing and Way of Life Esports coming at you guys with another video here today. This is the C9FanCast Season 1 Episode 10. So we had a lot of news happen this week, and then we had the Worlds 2020 Group Draw Show. This is actually pretty rare. We normally don't have, 4 people here, but it's fine. It's glad to see all you guys. Khan, Ravioli's back, Legion. He'll make weird guest appearances every now and again. And you have Zen. So how are you guys doing? How was your weeks?
It was good.
You guys know how my week. has been, but not gonna say it here on the cast.
Yeah. Finished classes 2 hours ago, so kind of tired, but let's pull through.
Yeah. The week's been good. Me and a lot of friends are on that Among Us train. There was no League Esports this weekend, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday nights was pretty much just Among Us. So
right,
Is it actually a fun game or not?
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's Mafia. Mafia was the best playground game back when we were kids, and now you just get the excuse to play it as adults. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, this week started.
Yeah, I'm a huge D&D guy, so okay. I spent my weekend doing that and watching football.
I'm just a weeb and I watch anime and movies. I just finished Birds of Prey. That was that was horrible. That was so bad. I have the review coming up on my channel, on my main channel. It's so bad, man. I'm gonna spoil the grade here. That movie's an F-. That movie's so bad. What? But this week in League, we had a lot of news come out. Let's start with the big one, which was Reapered leaving Cloud9 as they mutually part ways. So, what was your guys' first thoughts on this? Did Cloud9 even need to let go of Reapered? Reapered had been with Cloud9 since when? Summer 2016 is when he came in?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Bunny Fufu, smoothie swapping. He got Cloud9 to the finals in his first split. They made it out of the group. Reapered has a long resume. Got out of group stage with Cloud9 in 2016, 2017, 2018. Top 4 at World.
He got
trophy.
Yeah.
So he had a pretty good resume so far.
Yeah, he does. No one's going to deny that he didn't have achievements on Cloud9. And he definitely got the best out of them at certain points, but he also sort of had a reputation for making really boneheaded drafting decisions when it mattered most in a lot of finals. As many finals as he made, he only won one of them with a team that was so clearly so much better than everyone else in the league that it wasn't even funny.
So, with him also winning Coach of the Split multiple times, because he won it, how many times? 4? I'm going to say 4 or 3.
I think it's 4.
He has so much accolades, but then when you look at, how many splits he's won, it doesn't reflect it. Now, in terms of drafting, we're really never going to know, despite what a lot of pro players have been saying. We as fans will never really know what goes on, but... I don't really know if this was the right decision, because giving up Reaper does make another team stronger. He's not a bad coach. I think a lot of people look at his bigger failures, but don't look at all the little things he was doing too. That's just me personally, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on it, because obviously I was able to talk about this on, Monday, so.
I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to kind of take the opposite approach of Ravioli. I think it was a bit hasty, and I think it was wrong. You look at Reaper's resume, the things I see is, one, he's had success internationally for C9, and it has been the best LCS coach internationally, making it out of group 3 times, making it to semifinals once. Yes, he might not have won the LCS, a lot of those finals. He has only one LCS title. But C9 has never been a team to go out and buy players and try and super stack rosters. Reaper has been very, very good at building players within the org. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the first season C9 doesn't go to Worlds is coming off the off-season where they, instead of building from within like they do with Reaper and a lot of his players, they sold academy players. They brought in a bunch of talents from other teams. And while it looked good in spring when other teams were kind of messing up in NA, I don't want to fight about that. When it came down to the summertime, it just a lot of these players that had similar flaws from other regions. Sven with Caitlyn was something that probably was bringing up back in like his OG days, he wasn't playing Caitlyn. We know he's always goes to Ezreal, whether he was on TSM or Cloud9 earlier this year. I think C9's biggest issue was they went out and got a bunch of players from other teams when their biggest strength with Reapered and that whole org has been building players up from the academy players up. That those have always been their best performing players, and I think this could be very risky for C9 because if they go back with that same roster and a new coach and don't have success, and you see your academy kind of fall off, you could be setting yourself up for some really big issues in the future.
I don't completely disagree with that. I do think that regardless of how good you thought the team actually was, they clearly was a mismanagement within the organization in the midpoint of summer. They clearly weren't playing as well as they were mechanically or macro-wise. They just weren't. It was incredibly obvious. That has to come from somewhere. If within the organization they're blaming Reapered for it, it's hard for me as someone who's from the outside looking in to tell them that they're wrong for making that decision. I mean, Cloud9 isn't a team historically that has made these decisions without reasons. I don't think that it was a mistake to bring in guys like Vulcan. Vulcan was among the best supports all year. Even when they weren't playing as well, I still thought Vulcan was pretty solid. And then the only one was Ven. And I don't know what... Maybe they could have brought up their Academy AD carry or got another young guy, but he looked really, really good until the 11th hour. And I personally would attribute that more to the team's mental completely falling apart in the second half. Is getting rid of Reapered a bad move or a good move? Right now, it feels good because obviously everyone who's a Cloud9 fan is really upset, and we're looking for somebody to blame. And Reapered is the most obvious person.
For me,
or maybe it's not. Or maybe it's not, like you said, and only time will tell. It depends who they get, really.
I never blamed him, though. Yeah. Like, when you give a team a draft, like, it's all up to them at that point. Like, it wasn't Reaper's fault that Jensen didn't hit Hourglass, in that river in 2017, the 2017 Spring Split Finals. It also wasn't Reaper's fault that in the other series, the players literally in Game 3 against TSM in the 2019 Spring Split semifinals wasn't Reaper's fault that they're 2-0 up in the series and they can't close out against TSM when they got Baron Sneaky standing right in front of an Akali and he gets autoed twice. And I think people have to understand it's like a coach gives you a draft and it's up to the players to execute it. And I think it's hard to say if this is a bad decision. I did kind of call it in the last few episodes we did ago that they're going to change something. They weren't going to not make Worlds and not change something. The only thing I heard from Jack was that, it wasn't a player thing. It was a coaching thing. Now, whether or not that was like Reaper not taking more control, because remember, these guys are a little bit more older. They kind of know what they want to do. Maybe that was the disconnect. Maybe Reaper just didn't have too much control over the team because the other rosters, he had like rookies mixed in with veterans so he could teach them about certain fundamentals about the game. So that's just me personally right now. But on the bright side, this is a good thing for a lot of the other bad orgs in the LCS. I mean, if you're a bad org in the LCS, I'd bid for him. I think that people still look at his flops and don't look at him overall as a coach, though. I think he's a great asset to any team he goes to. In the LCS, he's going to make them way much more better. I think making them better is a little, in the sense of, like, he'll give them structure,
Right. I just like to interject for one quick point, then I'll let it go. It is all that stuff you said about his players not performing. Right, it's not his fault. But as the coach, I guess the FlyQuest series, drafting the same comp or close to the same comp for 4 games in a row,
that's true,
and not changing it when it's clearly not working is on him.
Yeah, it's true. I agree.
So I will pop in real quick. So regarding the Caitlyn ban that we brought up. So in the Dom interview with C9 players Sven and Vulcan specifically said that they had trouble playing against and with Caitlyn. So for me, that was very interesting to hear because we all know how good Sven is on AD carries, right? But for me, how I view Reapered is that he's really good at min-maxing his players, right? So when he has rookies, when he has players that people doubt, he's able to pull out the best of them. I think we can all agree on that. But I think there are crucial moments that showed Reaper's weakness. And I think the reason why Jensen and Svenskeren left, and you guys look at their league contents out there by like Thorin or other people, right? One thing they attribute to that is that when Reaper is coaching them, he would pull up some weird roster lineup, not even just champions, but roster lineups, and that threw them off. And when the players, especially superstars, feel disrespected, and they want to leave an org, I think that's a big problem. Do I think Reaper should have been let go? Probably not. I think, maybe there are other roles like strategic coach on C9 that would have fit better. Obviously, we don't know, exactly what the deal went down, but I do think that changes have to be met. And when you're letting superstars go because they're angry about, I think there's definitely some.
I'll come in here a little bit and fight back on that point. I think one of the worst things that people have with the LCS, and I think a little bit LEC, but not as much, is this idea that we need to like get on our knees and stroke a player's ego, so to say. If they feel upset because they're benched, that means we have a bad coach. People forget to realize that split where Reaper benched some of the the hypothetical star players was the one where they went to World Semifinals. So often, and I said it last week, I think TL was incredibly stupid to give Double Lift away for free. We're seeing orgs like Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, other orgs take some teams that aren't exactly filled with superstars and are just having good coaching staffs and building teams up from that and having respect like that. You're not hearing Wild Turtle be all pissy-wissy that he was benched a little bit of the summer split. Yeah. He was okay with it, and he understood, and he came back, and it made him better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I will want to respond quickly to that, because I think, obviously, they went to Worlds, they had a deep run. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. But specifically for those two players, the set lineup was Golden Glue and Svenskeren, and Blabber and Jensen. And when it came to the finals, Blabber and Jensen never played as a duo. They subbed in them individually, and in the final game, they subbed in Svenskeren and Jensen. And so when the players who practice that particular synergy with, the other player are forcibly shoved into that kind of scenario when it's a do or die match, to some extent, I do agree with your point that, we shouldn't stroke their ego. But at the same time, if I've been practicing with the same guy building up the synergy, and for some reason in the final you decide to change it up like that, I think I would be pretty confused too.
I was at that final. They were down 0-2. You had to try something completely different because...
Yeah, so why wouldn't they sub in the Blabber and Jensen versus subbing in Jensen but not Blabber?
I mean,
maybe it's just...
At that point, I look at context, like, were they really going to beat TL? Like, that's the thing, though. It's like, people got to look at the overall grander picture. They were the weaker team. Maybe the Cloud9 fans will say it differently, but we were the weaker team going into that.
What, in 2018?
Mm-hmm. In 2018, the summer...
in Oakland, yeah.
Like, people got to factor in. When you're a coach, you have to make different decisions that may or may not be the best, but you're looking at it from an outside perspective. If you see two players not doing too well, what are you going to do? Keep them in? Because then the criticism will be, well, why didn't you just switch them out for the other two players then?
But
yeah,
when you oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
When you here, go. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like, maybe it's just me, but like over the 4 years Reaper's been there, when has he like consistently outdrafted the opponent? It feels to me it's always been like individually his players being better than the other ones.
It's Draft Kingdom, man. What are you talking about?
but when?
Bro, dude, they beat a freak of freaks. I'm just kidding.
But that wasn't Draft Kingdom.
Yeah, actually.
That was his players were playing a better style.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think this is also a chance too, maybe, and I think maybe this is where orgs. And if I was them, I think there should be a clear difference. Head coaches should not always be 100% default the draft coach in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you see NA teams doing that now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how CLG was, because of course they're never going to let Weldon touch the draft. But I mean,
right.
Could you imagine?
All right. I think they just go in the other direction because, I heard it was said from LS and Thorin on his podcast earlier in this year, where they were talking about how in the LCK, a lot of the players simply just play what they want. The coaches don't have nearly as much input on the draft. At least that's coming from LS, who talks to a lot of the the LCK players and coaches. And
the LCK
seems like they
much worse.
the LCK. I mean, they're not as good as they used to be, at least comparatively to China. They haven't been better than China for what, 3 years now?
Well, that's because back in the day, you did what Coma said, or you get benched.
Right, and doesn't.
He could come back.
They seem to be sort of moving away from that. At least that's how it was earlier. I
bet you're right. I'm just laughing because I see that and like, well, that's probably some of the reasons why they're not doing as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're also kind of stuck in their old ways. They think the game is played by, farming, shake hands, farm to 25 minutes, then win late game, when the game has been moving away from that for the past couple years.
I feel like Damon's different in a way. I feel like they play like the new style, though.
Yeah.
Damon, I would say, is the exception for sure.
Right. Them and Dragon X.
Yeah, Genji tries, but then Genji also, if they realize that style doesn't work for them, they just revert back to the other style, which also doesn't really work for them, because Clit is not a player to just sit there and do nothing, But
no.
Overall for Reaper,
no, he's not.
I don't know. I'll have to think about this a little bit longer, because it is a bad decision, but it's also a good one too. So it also goes hand in hand,
It's a time will tell decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if they did something like promoted him to head of talents, or almost like a GM role, because I think he's very good at developing players, and slot somebody in as the new head coach. But letting him out of the org completely is where I feel my mistake is.
Yeah.
Right. He also. So also, they said it was a mutual decision. I put air quotes up earlier because I'm like, oh yeah, mutual decision. He also might be at the point in his life where he wants to go home. We don't know. That could also be a thing.
Well, he said in a tweet that Korean military is sorted. So, he said he's fielding offers, so I don't think he is actually.
I mean, which org would benefit from him, though? At least in the
anyone that's not named probably TL. I guess maybe even them. I don't know. It's hard to say. Definitely the orgs in NA that should definitely be looking at him are teams like obviously CLG, Immortals, 100 Thieves. Teams that want to start building up a players roster from scratch could really, really benefit from having Reapered.
If there's an org out there that should go after him, it should be Immortals in North America, but my money is on him going to an LCK team. Because I think he's proven his worth as a coach in North America, and there's some big LCK slots open, and I could see him easily finding his way back there just with his success with C9.
I could be wrong, but I think if he went back to Korea, he would have to do military service.
I'm not.
But I could be wrong.
I'm not well versed in that Korean.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm not sure. You might be right.
I know he's
you also might be wrong.
Because on Golden Guardians they have an arrow. 100 Thieves have Ziggs. So CLG's got no one. They're trying to rebuild. So it wouldn't.
CLG could get thrown some money at him. Please do.
It wouldn't be crazy if CLG got him. It wouldn't be crazy. They claim they want to have a massive rebuild. So we'll see how that goes.
I really want to see him 100 Thieves, because 100 Thieves has a lot of really promising young players in their organization who would benefit massively from a guy like Reapered. I think that would be a match made in heaven, personally. Not that I don't think 100 Thieves coach necessarily is a problem. I don't know actually too much about him. I haven't looked into him too much, but...
To Zix?
100 Thieves are just a bad org at the moment.
They do have, without a doubt, have really talented young players, not in their academy necessarily, but in their 100 Thieves next team. They have a lot of really promising young players.
Well, Fake God in their academy is actually really good. I know he's a free agent coming up, but he's probably one of the better top laners in academy, and could be an LCS level. All
right, and I forget their names, but their jungler and their mid laner
Poppy's the mid laner.
Next. Yeah.
And then Tenacity
They're both-
was good. I can't think of the jungler's name off the top of my head.
I've been saying it. I've been saying it for a while now. I'm really excited to see what those players do in the next couple of years when they finally get old enough to even play. Because a lot of people in their, a lot of people in their next team aren't even old enough to play in the LCS or Academy, which is why they're even there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Main event, plan six. All right. So, all right. Sorry about that. I was just getting up the world stuff. So, the World's 2020 group draw happened yesterday. A lot of people were, very much blasting Rogue and FlyQuest because they actually think they're not making it out. I know that's probably going to happen. Who knows? It's Worlds. It's best of ones. You never really know. But if you guys are a fan of the minor league regions, the Group A for them is INTZ, Legacy Esports, MAD, Supermassive, and Team Liquid. Group B is LGD, PSG Talent, Rainbow 7, Unicorns of Love, and V3 Esports. So, out of Group A, I'm pretty sure most people are expecting Mad Lions and Team Liquid to get out. That's pretty much expected. Group B is LGD and Unicorns of Love. But with these wildcard teams, you never really know, though. Like, people keep bringing up this narrative about, what's the region? Russia, right? With Unicorns of Love. Like, how they keep getting so close to making it into the main event. I mean, this could be the Worlds where they do it. I need to see it to believe it because people always like to go back to past narrative to try and justify future ones. If they're not good enough to get in, they're just not good enough to get in. I don't know if that changed this year with Unicorns of Love.
Right.
But we'll see.
I don't know.
But yeah, what's up?
I was going to say, some people might know, UOL is the CAS super team though. They took both the cores of Unicorns of Love from last year's Worlds and then the Vega Squadron team that went to MSI last year, and they combined the two of them, and so it's basically a CAS super team.
And they have a 29-3 record.
Right, they just have all the best players from their region on that team, which the other teams from the minor regions, they're just straight playing their roster that happened to win their league. So yeah, that definitely gives them an edge.
Except PSG, because they didn't really win their league.
Right.
I'll be honest though, I'm a little bit worried for TL and potentially MAD, and this is kind of with the best of one scenario. I see teams like INTZ and Supermassive as potential upset threats. And with the way the system works, if you get upset into the 3-4 playoff matchup on A side, there's a very good chance you can be going into a best of five, two best of fives, where the second one is going to be against UOL. And if UOL is as good as some people are saying, I know they went 1-on-1 with G2 yesterday in scrims, and scrims don't really matter as much, but there's a lot of hype behind that team. I don't think if you're Mad Lions or TL, you want to see you don't want to see UOL in a best of 5 to get into groups.
No.
So,
TL does have really experienced players. They do have Jensen, who's been to semifinals. They do have, I would say Double Lift, but Double Lift is kind of notorious for not making out of groups. But this is in group stage. This is play-in stage.
They don't have Double Lift either. They have Tactical.
Oh, wait, you're right. I'm being dumb. Somebody mute me.
kick this man out.
Right. Right. Wait. So the shackles have been shed. They no longer have Double Lift holding them back for Worlds. They have Tactical.
Hey,
but yeah,
Tactical's good.
They also have Impact, who's a veteran, and there's something to say about having a veteran like Impact on your team.
I mean, there's a literal world champion on the team too.
If Team Liquid loses
There's
two of them.
If Team Liquid loses Mad Lions, I'm not surprised at all. Mad Lions are actually pretty decent.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Going up against players like Shadow against Broxa, that's a huge mismatch for Broxa.
Is it though?
Sure.
Right.
Shadow's pretty good.
Yes.
I mean,
Shadow's pretty good.
Broxa was playing much better near the end of the summer split than he was during the rest of the year, so maybe he continues to try to get back into the form he was in previous years, but
maybe
I'd be kind of worried about Broxa.
Maybe I married Scarlett Johansson. You never know. But, realistically...
Talk about a confidence booster.
Overall, most people are expecting Team Liquid and Mad Lions to make it out. Now, the team that most people aren't looking at to maybe upset them, I'm looking at Supermassive. That's what I'm looking at. They have a few players we remember, like Zeitnot. GBM is their head coach. So they have Cacao. So I mean, they have players that have been in scenarios where you could see these players succeeding. But then again, it's like best ones. Is this how I look at it? Having the better players usually always works for you. Because you're only playing one game, so it's going to be mutually beneficial for you to have the better players, though. You know, these teams going in have the weaker players, though. But we'll see how it works. But so, can someone clarify something for me? So the the team who gets first place auto qualifies for.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens with the rest of them?
Okay, so the second seed gets like a bye. The third team, so let's just say Team Liquid finishes first, and then Mad Lions finishes second. So Supermassive would play INTZ in a best of 5.
Okay.
And the winner of that would play Unicorns of Love or whoever's the second team from Group B in a best of 5.
Okay.
So
Group.
that's what it could get interesting because you could have like a Supermassive UOL best of 5 and
Yeah.
yeah.
Or you can get like a TL URL or a Mad Lions URL.
But I don't want to talk about that as an NA fan. It scares me.
Oh my god.
Right. This is going to be. I pretty strongly believe this is the year. Another one of the years North America doesn't make it out of groups.
Hey, it can start here. This is a group stage. This is a group stage technically. So
I think they get out. I think
Right.
This is playing stage.
Playing.
Yeah, plans.
I would give it like a 15% chance TL doesn't make it out of plans.
But do you guys
15?
feel like
15%, yeah.
yeah.
I would give them a bit higher. I give them 65 because they are playing against a lot of minor region teams, which like you say you didn't want to hear it, but historically the major region teams in play-ins just always make it out.
Now, for
It
me
just
personally,
consistently always happens.
I have no life, so I watch Oceania sometimes. Legacy is also not that bad. The issue here is Team Liquid has a distinct style, so to beat them, you have to play faster. Now, you can play faster, but if they're not better than their opposition, it's not going to matter either. So we'll see how it goes. Group B is LGD and Unicorns of Love as the teams that I see are going to make it out. People say LGD's weak. Have you even watched the LPL, you clown? What the hell? No,
I think LGD is weak
they're
in comparison to JDG and TS.
Okay, yes,
Right,
yes.
right. Because they don't have to be better.
I'm
They don't have to.
to the wildcard teams.
Right, they don't have to be better than the other teams in the LPL. They just have to be better than these minor region teams.
I mean,
they're from the LPL.
Poor little
Like-
whoever the jungler is for PSG now. I forgot that Southern has to go against Peanut and
Peanut,
GA and-
Lang X, Kramer. Holy cow.
Yeah.
it was like last year when
Kramer?
Daron was in play-ins.
Mhm.
Oh my days! It was not even fun.
So for those guys who are watching and don't follow the LPL, Peanut is on LGD. And he's been looking pretty solid. LGD have really solid players that aren't bad. And they're good enough to beat all these guys. Like, if they don't get first place, that's a choke. These guys are not horrible. I know they're better than this level of competition that they're going to face. Lang X was on RNG last year. Shie, Bjergsen versus Shie. We could get it. We could get it if they make it out. Bjergsen versus Shie from 2017. Kramer was on A Freak of Freaks when Cloud9 beat them in 2018. And that's pretty much it for the playing stage. Let's dive right into the main event. So which group you guys want to tackle first?
Let's go. I say let's just go in order.
A.
Yeah, let's go A to G.
Ew. Oh, this is the easiest group. G2 Esports, we're going to win Worlds. As you guys know, I tried to buy my G2 Esports World jersey today, and it broke. They actually broke the internet by how many people trying to buy the Worlds jersey. I'm going to buy it after.
Oh my god.
G2,
Yeah.
Machi Esports, and Suning. And if Team Liquid make it out, they're going to be in this group because every single other group has a North American team. So, Well,
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Well, no, it's more B.
More B, yeah.
Yeah, they could be A or B.
depends.
They could be
Yeah.
A or
If
B, sorry.
PSG gets out,
Depends who comes out. Yeah.
then they are locked in A.
Okay.
But if UOL gets out, then oh god.
Oh god, chaos. All right,
I don't have high hopes.
so let's just assume TL makes it out and they go on to Group A. Or do they even get out of groups this year?
I think this
No.
is the best group for them, though.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like Suning is a team they could beat and get out of. I think G2 is probably going to get it together enough before Worlds starts.
I mean, we say get it together, but they didn't win.
I have a
You know
quick
what I mean,
question.
like-
Does anybody here watch like Machi Esports or the PSG? Because I don't watch that region, so I have no idea how good Machi
I
Esports is
watched
in comparison to the other
I think I
two.
watched a single best of 3 they played like in the beginning of spring. They're not. I don't remember anything past that. It's so hard to keep up with every single region. You add in a 5th one, it's like god damn. Like,
Yeah.
I can't speak on someone I haven't watched, so I don't want to spread.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to comment until I've.
Here's what I think is going to happen in this group. I think TL is going to get in there. I think TL is going to go like 2-4. They're going to somehow 2-0 Machi, and then they'll lose every game to G2 and Suning. I think G2 is going to end up going like 3-3 or 4-2 because they're going to lose one goddamn game to Machi because G2 in group stages with these players always mess around and have really bad games there. Not saying they're a bad team. But whether it was the MSI they won, the Worlds that last year, previous Worlds, they never go in and just stomp a group stage. They usually end up the second seed. They lose to teams they shouldn't lose to in really bad ways. And I also I think they're going to run into like a problem with Chinese squads again. I think G2 hasn't beat a Chinese squad since RNG in 2018. I know they haven't played anybody this year, but I see Suning being the pretty heavy favorite for me personally in this group, and G2 going out second.
One thing I find interesting is with these like scrim leaks that have come out, it's Fnatic has beaten Suning and TSM has beaten Suning in scrims. So I don't know if that's any indication, but if you're losing to Fnatic and TSM in scrims, it doesn't kind of give me high hopes for you.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they have a chance.
Fnatic isn't a bad team. It's just there's a large drop off
better than both.
The thing with G2, Machi, and Suning is that Suning is not a bad team. Suning has SOFM as Sword Art. SOFM has been a pretty good jungler in China for a very long time. He's been amazing, actually. He has a great way of pathing, playing around objectives. His issue is that he plays towards the wrong person. Like, they'll play towards their top laner when Angel is clearly ahead, and then you have Huanfeng and Sword Art. If you guys remember who Sword Art was, he was on Flash Wolves, was Carson Maple. Sword Art, playmaking support, he's always going to try and get things going. I think if Suning get first place in this group, I'm not surprised. So, I don't really care who comes in, if it's Team Liquid or in Unicorns of Love. I think it'll be Suning and G2 at the end of the day. Because, people are going to see Suning as weak, and they're not weak, though. They're just weaker by comparison because the LPL is that strong. You know, a weak team to us should not be looked at as like a weak team like in the LCS. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, plus, Suning's jungler is Vietnamese, and we know what Vietnamese players do to G2.
Yeah.
No, SOFM is great. Like, if he beats Yankos, it's not surprising to me. I watched SOFM for a while. Like, SOFM should have his way with Yankos, but then again, Yankos isn't bad. The issue here is the bot lane. Like, is Sword Art and Huanfeng gonna get dumpstered by Mickey and Perks? I don't think so. Mickey and Perks are not like they were last year. So
I'd honestly say their bot lane is probably better than their like top side of the map. I understand SOFM's a difference, but I think their mid and top laners aren't really that special.
Angel and Bin, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think they're that special.
Do you have Caps as the best mid laner in the world?
No, definitely not. But
You said Bjergsen.
he's better than Angel.
You told me you were gonna have Bjergsen as the best, dude. Come on.
Oh, no. What do you mean?
You're supposed
The
to
best mid laner in the world is Power of Evil. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, you broke my heart. I was in love with that man.
Clip this,
I was in
boys.
This is the first page of Reddit. Oh my god.
So
But
you're breaking my heart.
that's pretty much it for this group. Most of you guys are predicting G2 and Suning to get out, even if you have the other person.
Yeah.
There. But if TL get in there,
I think if TL gets in, they get out.
really?
Yeah.
Who are they taking out?
I don't know why.
Who are they taking out?
Suning.
What?
G2 first,
Hold
TL
on.
second.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on. What we said is G2 does fuck around a lot.
Okay.
If G2 does do G2 things at the wrong time, maybe they
Oh my
lose.
god! If TL knocked out G2, it'd be the best day of my life.
It would have to be like TL's playing out of their mind, and G2's just shitting the bed. Like, it would have to be the absolute, like the worst case scenario for G2 fans.
Well, it's also one of these things that in best of fives, G2 is better than TL. I will say that 100%.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
historically, in best of ones against G2, TL has come out even or on top of them.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because North America's better at best of ones because that's what we play.
I think it also comes down to it's really, I think when you have like in best of ones, you don't practice and plan for a certain team with the game strategy, especially on the second go around, whenever it's like 3 games in one day. So like Team Liquid, who literally does the same things and plays 8 champions and whatever, it's very easy for them to just copy and paste some things. Where G2, they have some of the best coin flip players in the world. Caps will either be one of the best mid laners in the world, or he'll look like he should be in EU Academy.
Yeah.
Hey,
I give TL a solid 10% chance to make it out. Solid 10 because G2 has shit the bed before.
If Team Liquid make it out, I'm not surprised, but then again, it's saying that they're better than that's saying the third team in North America is better than the third place team in China. That's crazy,
I don't think it's an accurate thing to say because, like I said, it's best of ones.
That's true. Best of ones. Yeah, the argument does get in there. It's best of ones. Anything can realistically happen.
In football, they have the saying, "Any given Sunday, any team can beat any other team because it's one game."
Legion.
It's sports like basketball and baseball. It's very rare for the better team to actually lose because it's a 7-game set. But in football in the playoffs, upsets happen all the time because it's one game.
All right.
People aren't robots.
You never know that.
They can get on a hot streak and play better than their median play level, or they can just be in a funk and it can snowball in their heads. Anything can happen.
All right. Anything you guys want to add to Group A, or you want to move on?
I think we talk about poor Rogue.
Poor Rogue. Group B, guys. Damn1 Gaming, JD Gaming, and Rogue. So, who's the other team that could potentially be in this group?
It's either going to be... if all the first seeds get out, it would be PSG.
Oh, man. Okay, well...
So your 2 options are Team Liquid or a wildcard team.
Well, Damn1 is
TL
strong.
TL will finish last in this group, but... Actually, I don't know. They could beat Rogue. I think they could beat Rogue.
Rogue is not that good.
Yeah.
I think Rogue is not that good.
Right.
Damon and JDG though are a little.
Right. Yeah, this group is a group that's Danwan, JD, and then 2 victims.
So I'm going to be... I put a topic here. I actually think Rogue has I won't say decent shot, but there is a world where they can upset here.
Upset who?
Right.
Yeah, who do you think they're going to upset?
I think they can upset JDG.
Okay, because let's go, baby. Inspired and Finn versus Zoom and Kanavi. It's definitely not...
Here's what I think could happen. I'm not saying I believe it will happen. I'm not saying this, but this is a world where they could have a chance. Damwon, a lot of people from all the regions in China and in Korea, everybody says Damwon they feel is the best team in scrims. They have an insane win record against Korean teams as well as LPL teams.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a world where JDG lose both their games against Damwon. So they go 0-2 against Damwon.
Okay.
And assuming there's like a wild card team, Rogue and LGD and Damwon should easily all 2-0 that team.
Okay.
Rogue at that point just needs to get 1 game off of JDD to get into a tiebreaker situation. And I think in tiebreakers, anything can happen.
Yeah, but it's Zoom versus Finn, and I don't...
That is a big mismatch right there.
That is a good...
It is...
I agree with you, but if there's ever a team, I think, that can have their bot side pop off for a couple games to get lucky and win, I do believe in Hansama and Rogue that they could do something like that. Like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I don't know if it's as dire, like as doom and gloom as some people want to make it out to be. They could easily, not say easily, they could go 1-1 against JDG and force a tiebreaker.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that.
So this is
Like
what
I said before, in one game, if they do manage to get the tiebreaker, all it takes is one good game from Rogue and one bad game from JDG for them to get out.
Okay, so this is my point I'll tackle with JDG, because people who don't watch the LPL are probably going to assume they stomped half the way to get to the finals. Not actually true. They started off pretty bad in the summer. They started off pretty bad for their 2020 summer split. They got better, and then as the playoffs went by, they actually performed a little bit more better. The issue here with JDG is I think they do have quote-unquote weak players that can be exploited. I think you can exploit Yagao. I think you can exploit people like Kanabi. The issue here is, depending on the draft is super dependent for JDG. That's JDG's biggest problem.
Yeah.
You give them a certain draft, they'll play slow as fuck. I remember one game, guys didn't do anything for 30 minutes. they're handshaked. And then the other drafts, they play very, very fast, very aggressive. If Kanabi's on Nidalee, he likes to get the game going. The issue here is there a big enough mismatch in like Zoom, Loken, and Love Mao in the bot lane and top lane to make a difference? I don't know. JDG is not exactly insane, but they're not a bad team either, though.
I don't know. I think JDG is pretty insane. I think Kanabi and Zoom is the best top jungle in the world, probably. But
What do you think about Loken? I think Loken's great.
he's solid.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like incredible, but I don't think he's terrible.
Is Sama better than Loken?
No, definitely not. But
Can what's his name? Larson? Can Larson take down Yagao?
yes, I think Larson's really good. But the other members are a little, just a tad mismatched.
Yeah. Larson tweeted, "Hey, it's the easiest group of his life."
Yeah.
My god.
I think it's more likely JDG would take a game off Damwon than Rogue taking off a game off JDG. So.
I would agree with that. I'm just throwing. I'm being that like. I'm just throwing a potential scenario.
For
out there.
Yeah, it's fine.
For sure.
I could see a point at which where, like, I don't see Rogue beating Damwon. I really don't. But then again, EU has this thing where they beat Korean teams. So, right now on paper, it looks doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where like Rogue goes 1-1 with JDG and Damwon, and then Damwon or JDG 2-0s the other one, and Rogue somehow squeaks in.
Oh my god, TSM versus Rogue. We're gonna get it one day. We're gonna get TSM versus
Dude.
Rogue eventually.
Oh my god.
All right.
I can't wait.
Let's go to Group C. Group C, Fnatic, Gen G to be announced, and Team Solo Mid. So if LGD make it out, they're getting in this group. So that's I don't know. This is, people would say the group of life, but that's people not realizing how, like, I don't think there really is a group. Group of A to me is a group of life. Group C is not easy. I don't see Group C being easy at all. Is LGD in here? LGD and Gen G? Fnatic, TSM? That sounds not a group. It's not an easy group.
That's a very competitive group, I would say.
I would call this almost like I actually do call this the group of death, only because my when I hear group of death in other areas, what it usually means is it's the group that has the most amount of teams that you could make an argument that could make it out of groups to go to quarters or and stuff like that. And I think every one of these teams, like, they have like a legitimate argument of why they could make it out of not just this group, but if you maneuvered stuff around, they could potentially, have better arguments on some of the other slots to make it out of other groups. And it's definitely the most competitive one. I think this might be like the most like even 14 group we've ever seen at Worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't say even. I think Gen G's a step above the rest, but maybe that's just me.
I think they are too, but they are also inconsistent at certain things.
That's true.
Like, Clid and BDD are great, but Clid and BDD are not a good duo. Clid and BDD are like doing two separate things when games are going on. And then you have Ruler and Life. Life's not that good. So if there's a player that could be exploited on Genji, I would say it's Life. But I can say that about every single player on the other teams. Like Fnatic have Hylissang, and he runs it down every single game known to man. And then you have Bwipo who self-ults as Zillion.
Yep. And then you have TSM, who's from North America.
This man will never stop the TSM playing. Oh my god. Hey, if TSM goes 0-6 in this group, I'm not surprised. I
would be very surprised if they go 0-6.
If they go 0-6,
right?
It's not really surprising.
They do get to play a play-in team. Who
they get to play LGD.
Right. Hold on. So, because it's TSM and everyone wants to hear about it, what do you think TSM's percentage chance of making out of this group is, assuming they get LGD?
They pray. You pray. You can take games off Fnatic. You pray.
Honestly, this is gonna sound so biased, but I'd say like, I honestly would favor them to get out of the group.
So what does that mean? Is that like 51%? Is that 70%?
No, like 51%. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
51?
rate LGD. Yeah, I don't rate LGD, and Fnatic is just so
coin flippy.
I really think Bjergsen versus Nemesis is a big gap in the midi.
Yeah.
In which direction?
Bjergsen.
Oh my god. No, because like Fnatic fans who are gonna, I know I have a lot of fans of Fnatic that watch the channel. You got Nemesis is not what you guys make him out to be. I'm sorry, but he's not that good. You know, Bjergsen right now, if you told me he's better than Nemesis, he's been better than Nemesis like the whole year. So it's not just a right now thing. Barry Bjergsen has been better. I think last year Nemesis was better clearly last year. But I don't know, like the Fnatic fan base has to overrate their players so much. Like they're like, well, I mean, Selfmade and Nemesis and Selfmade are not a good duo. Whatever synergy they were supposed to have, I don't see it. That's just me. Yeah. Reckless and Selfmade are their best players. Now this is a group of 80 carries: Ruler, Reckless, and Double Lift. That's some pretty stacked 80 carries. Kramer's there too. My boy Kramer's over here too. So,
it depends. Is Double Lift gonna show up in playoffs?
Do you guys
because he wasn't.
Do you guys actually think he will? It's up to you.
I mean, here's the thing. Double Lift has not been Double Lift this entire year, like in North America. Why do I think he's gonna show up and be
better,
exemplary in the world group stage?
Though. I think his playoffs level was as close as we've seen in a while.
See, here's the thing.
As close as we've seen, but he didn't look like 2019 Double Lift or 2018 Double Lift.
I mean, here's the thing, though, a little bit. Is 80 carries have been straight up almost nerfed to the point where nobody looks like they're, besides maybe besides Ruler in the world, 80 carries are not what they were back in the day. Mm-hmm. And one thing I think Double Lift has an advantage of coming into this group, maybe compared to some others, is in LCS playoffs, he at least showed he can competently play weak side in that type of way. Like TSM made an actual like coaching decision to put almost all of their effort into mid-side pressure leading up to top-side dives.
Yeah.
And they left Biofrost and Double Lift on an island by themselves, and they gracefully did really well with that. I mean, I don't know. Like, Senna's not going to be as strong as a pick as it was back then, which could very much hurt Double Lift. But I think. Go ahead.
Question. What's her name? Samira. Well, the new champion. Is she going to be active for Worlds?
No. Neither is Yon.
Okay. Okay, cool.
They came out.
Yon, is it?
Yes. So the reason is they came out with there's a blog post, and for future they will never put a champion for the first time at Worlds because it wasn't active in playoffs for all the major regions. So they're not going to activate it for the first time at Worlds.
But we're stuck with Lilia.
Yeah, because of Pantheon last year.
I like watching Ilya though.
Yeah, I will go back to the point that I agree with Legion and Khan there. I do think out of all the NA teams, this is the NA team most likely to get out of groups. Would I favor them to get out of groups? Probably not. But I do think that they do have a decent... And like Khan said, like I do like seeing TSM playing to the tops, and I do think a lot of the good teams do play to the solo lane. And Gen G having probably the best AD carry doesn't help them necessarily win the game. So it'll be interesting to see how Gen G faces up against these other teams.
I think the player to watch in this group, and this is bias coming from an NA fan, is going to be Spica. Because he has quietly, through the LCS playoffs, been gaining so much confidence and so much momentum, and has been pulling out a variety of picks and being in the right place in the maps, and actually winning smite fights, that he could be somebody to actually help TSM go over the edge. He reminds me of a lot of the younger C9 players back in the day that didn't know they shouldn't be afraid to play aggressive at Worlds. Not that you should be a great afraid, but he seems like somebody who's young, energetic, and he's on a rise. He's the youngest jungler at Worlds. And, looking at his solo queue and stuff right now, it seems like he's already, starting to master the Hecarim, which I think is going to be a very popular jungle pick. We've seen him do very good on Eve. I think he is going to be the make or break point if TSM is going to make it past this groups and on, or if they're going to stop here.
I have a couple things I wanted to chime in with. As far as TSM's chances to make it out of groups, I give them a 30 to 45% chance. But here's the thing we got to consider. There's a huge hole on TSM in the top lane. Broken Blade was a coin flip player in North America. He's playing against much better top laners. So, doing their strategy where they play through mid, trying to go through dives on top, right, is not going to be nearly as effective against teams with much better top laners.
But
At least I don't think so.
Are these much better top laners, though?
in this group, that's the thing. I don't think they are. It's Bwipo, Rascal,
and Lang
and Langette.
And Lang.
Is probably the best.
Yeah, is he better than? Are those guys worse than Ruin?
No, but he was beating. Okay, I don't rate Solo. I think Solo's garbage, but he was beating your Impact.
Or Solo.
Licorice.
Licorice, yeah. Granted, Cloud9 was a dumpster fire at the end, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
If I was going to be honest, this is going to surprise all you guys, but my percentage for TSM is 25. I think this group is so competitive. I wouldn't say surprise, like the fact that I'm the one that's the most giving them the lowest percentage to get out.
Right.
I think this group is really, really stacked, and I think that it's just going to be it's going to be very, very hard, especially on that day 3. I mean, that day where you have 3 games in a row. I think it's going to be very, very hard with a young roster to have some success with that. And I think LGD is the favorite in this group. I highly rank the LPL teams, especially after watching what they did to the LCK and their little like summer pseudo MSI. Like they spanked LCK embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
So
what about TSM? One last point. You did bring up a good point that Spica had been steadily improving over the playoffs, right? And he had been. And even summer split, he had been improving. Here's the thing. When they play in this group stage, he's going to be, a month and a half removed from stage play? Which kind of worries me. Does he go cold in that time? Does he regress a little bit? It's just that's something to worry about, I think.
Another thing we haven't talked about, this is going to be the first time Western teams have played live on stage since March.
Mm-hmm. Are they playing live on stage? They're just playing online, right?
No, they're playing live on
stage.
I mean, you're flying all the teams out there, so...
In the LPL, they're able to play on stage without an audience. That's going to be kind of weird, though. They're going to be introducing their names and there's no audience. It's like, God damn, that's going to be...
It's better than watching dang player cams online. But one thing I wanted to add, you talked about day 3, about having to play 3 games. One thing I found interesting about the schedule is, on the last day, TSM doesn't have to play a single back-to-back game. The schedule kind of niced them there. They play Fnatic first, then they're off, then they play Gen G, then they're off, then they'd play, in theory, LGD. So
Oh, that might make me change my prediction a little bit because I think they have a chance to actually beat Fnatic going into that first game rather than have to go against a tough team early and then you have to play the Fnatic later on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
This is my thing with Fnatic.
Yeah.
Fnatic are super, how would I say this? It's not like it's what I've noticed. They tilt so easily. Like, you can tell when they don't win, they're just not in a good position mentally because it shows it in their gameplay. I think if they lose to TSM, it starts a trend that's going to be bad for them. They're lose to everybody else. Now, if they beat TSM or beat whoever when they start their matches, I think they'll have a good shot at making out of the group. That's why Fnatic for me is a wildcard team in a sense of, I don't really know what Fnatic I'm going to see. The same thing with TSM. I don't know what TSM I'm going to see. Am I going to see a TSM from this region or I'll see the classic Worlds TSM? And people are going to be like, well, it's different players this time around. Doesn't matter if it's different players. It's a constant thing it happens with every single team. So we'll see how it happens. Now, Gen G's also inconsistent in their own way. Life is also not that good. Rascal excels at weak side, but they give him top side because if he plays weak side, he falls behind. Clid and BDD aren't exactly a great 2v2. Clid sometimes can invade at bad times, get killed. So they're not perfect, but they're definitely not weak either. This is the group where it's anybody's group, honestly, for me. If LGD make it in, fuck, god damn. All right.
I'm hoping. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of TSM, but if they make it out, I'll be happy for them because I'll just be happy to see North America make it out somewhere.
Make it out of anything.
I don't hate TSM. I just love talking shit because their fans overreact to everything.
Let's go to Group D. Dragon X, FlyQuest to be announced in Top Esports. So if Mad Lions make it out,
mad, yeah,
it would be mad. R.I.P. FlyQuest.
I mean, man, I like FlyQuest, but man, this is tough. It's tough.
So I feel this group is top or TES. I forgot. Top Esports. And then I'd probably say Mad might be better than DRX, which is kind of a hot take.
No, I wouldn't say so. Dragon X have draft problems. They have a really weak top side. Their top side is atrocious, man. Yeah. Piosic and Doran, they're bad. But Chovy is but their bottom side's really good. So it kind of balances out.
I think this is where the play-in stage helps Mad a lot. I think TL will beat Mad in the play-in groups, but I think by the time Mad gets to groups, they're going to be more experienced because it's all rookies, more experience, etc. I think Chovy's insane, right? And so Deft is, and so is
Kyrie.
Yeah, but oh my god, Doran and Piosic. Oh my god.
I wanted to point out, Dragon X is no joke. They have taken series, granted 3-game series, off of Gen G.
With the pause and just patches and
yeah. But it did happen. They were able to beat them in a 3-game set. Their Dragon X is not a pushover, and God, it's tough to say. I think they're much better than Mad Lions. Just the way they play, I like them. They're one of the few Korean teams that I feel like don't, drag their feet and just wait for 25 minutes to hit.
Do you guys think there's any shot for FlyQuest in this group?
I think there's a shot, but
are they getting out?
No, I don't think. I think that
it depends on what type of PoE Santorin and Ignore come in. We know Solo and we know Turtle aren't going to be carries, but if you get a PoE Ignore that could 2v5 a team like they have in the past with other teams they've been on, they could sneak out of the group second place.
I give them a 5% chance. 5%.
Oh,
I just don't know how DRX is going to be.
Yeah.
So one thing I do want to say, like you said, point out, is that this group has really weak top laners except for 360. So if we assume that Mad does go in, we have Doran, we have Solo, and we have Oro. We wouldn't consider these top, really good top laners, right? But I will say the mid lane for this is actually very competitive. We have PoE, we have Humanoid, and Knight, and obviously Chovy, right? So depending on, obviously we know that top is going to go. I don't think that PoE is not going to hold up well against Humanoid. I think PoE is a really good EU and now an NA mid laner, right? So I think going in, I do think FlyQuest has a chance, but I don't put them as a favorite. I'd probably say 10%, like less than TSM. I do think DRX though is better than Mad Lions. And that's my point of view.
Yeah.
I think if Mad Lions lose to I think if Mad Lions beat Dragon, I'm not surprised, but it's Dragon X. Are they the weakest second seed of Korea coming in? Like I've seen in a while.
A Freak of Freaks was the second seed.
Oh yeah, you're right. Gosh.
But I think we didn't know Korea was how bad Korea was during the time. Honestly, I think it's more likely FlyQuest gets out of groups than TS doesn't get first seed in this group. Because I think Top Esports is the best team in the world, but
yeah,
Top Esports, Damn 1 5.
Yeah,
Knight versus Showmaker. Let's make it.
Knight and Jackie Love. I think Karsa's the weak link on the team, but
I thought he
Knight and Jackie Love.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I thought he played pretty well toward the playoffs, but yeah, Karsa has this thing where Karsa's like a better blabber. Like whatever he does, like whatever blabber does, Karsa does it like 10 times better. But Karsa's also not flexible. Karsa's not a player to do it. Karsa's not a role player either. Like
saying Karsa's a weak link is like saying your weak link is an iron steel link.
Yeah, but exactly. It's a great team, but I'm saying like I think if someone's going to get exposed at this world, it's going to be Karsa.
I honestly think people underrate Karsa a lot. Like we know that this guy can play carry champions back in Flash. And when he was RNG, he was also doing really well, right? I think I would say Karsa and Yankos are similar in a way that these two players constantly get underrated just because of the players on their team. When you have Knight and you have 369, when you have Wonder and they do well, they take the spotlight. But I think what people often overlook, right? And why I think LS and a lot of these analysts do a really good job is that they give credit to the people who enable these players. And the enablers are often overlooked, and I think Karsa is definitely a very strong enabler. So I don't think Piosik is gonna expose him. And you know, I just think he's very underrated in that kind of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, the supports never get the credit they deserve. Justice for support players.
I don't know about that. I think supports have started getting a lot more credit than they deserve.
Maybe it's just an NA thing, but Core JJ is so loved in NA. So that's support love. But on Karsta,
right.
Maybe I'm hung up on how bad he played in spring. Before Jackie Love joined, Top wasn't that great. When they had Photic and
oh my god, Photic, jeez,
and they had QQ and
QQ and Photic, holy shit.
So that's why I think Jackie Love is so crucial to Top, and it's not because Karsa struggled, but I just think they had huge hole. It was kind of like Damwon the previous year when they had Nuclear on ADC instead of Ghost, and I think a lot of teams were able to exploit that, and even though a lot of people agreed that Damwon's topside was really good last year, they couldn't go far because of that. And I think, obviously now with the whole plugged in both Damwon, I think both teams are going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue here, like, Knight can play pretty much anything, but I think like with Bjergsen, when you have to ban a Zillion, the same thing happens with Knight. You kind of have to ban Zoe or Syndra because he's just so strong individually on that champion. So this year, Top Esports and Damwon for the other group that we talked about, I think if they're not coming out of the group as first place, that's a disappointment to me. I think they're much better than their competition in their group. Even if they have like weak points about them, is there any person that doesn't think Top should theoretically 6-0? But then again, Deft versus Jackie Love, that's gonna be a good match to watch. I cannot wait for that.
I think DRX can take a game off Top, but I can't see them winning the group. That's what
No, unless Top randomly drops a game to somebody else. Because the best of one.
FlyQuest will destroy Top Esports. You heard it.
It could be like
if FlyQuest manages to completely blow them out in drafts, and they also get a level 1 invade, and they also get Spawn Rift Herald, and they also manage to get the first 3 dragons, then maybe they got a
J-Team
shot.
beat FPX last year. To be fair, I think that was more
Yeah.
like LWX decided he was going to donate J-Team of win, but
It's one of those things too. I'm pretty sure Top's gonna be like 5-1 this group at worst. Like if they lose another game to like your FlyQuest or Mad, the next question is: do you not see DRX potentially losing games to FlyQuest and Mad? Because I see DRX maybe going 4-2, 3-3, like still making it out most likely, but I don't see them like 5-1ing or 4-2ing this group.
Yeah,
Easily.
for sure.
What if FlyQuest
I can see it.
What if FlyQuest start undefeated?
Like, assuming Mad Lions in this group, I don't like. I think Dragon X is a much better team than Mad Lions, but that's just me, and I'm a huge stan for Dragon X, so take that with a grain of salt.
Oh my gosh! Like
they're not Dragon X anymore, no, right? They're just DRX
Yeah,
officially. Like
Oh, they
TSM.
do like the Rocks Tigers thing where they just became Rocks or just the Tigers.
Yeah, but that was just because they didn't have a sponsor.
Listen. They're a team with Dragon in their name, and dragons are cool, so they're just gonna keep being Dragon X. It's more intimidating.
Yeah, they.
So for me personally, I would say FlyQuest. If they win this group, I'm not surprised. Nah, I'm just fucking around with you guys.
Win the group?
Win the group. They're FlyQuest gonna win.
Oh, they get out.
I'm just kidding. No. Hell no.
If I'm a FlyQuest fan, if they win 2 games in this group, I'm pretty ecstatic.
If
Like, I'm
FlyQuest,
ecstatic.
if FlyQuest beat Knight, oh my god, could you just imagine Solo beating Knight, Jackie Lemon?
Oh my
I
god.
just couldn't imagine.
Oh my god.
What if FlyQuest do the Cloud9 of 2015 in the week 1 where they start 3-0, they beat everybody, and then crash the next time they all play? That'd be hilarious.
Lose the tiebreaker, goes
Yeah.
back home,
I was saying,
I mean, if
this is a battle of the mid laners. You have what was it? Mad Lions make it in. You have Humanoid, Power of Evil,
Yeah.
Chovy, Knight. It's a stacked group for mids, I would say.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Power of
If
Evil has his work cut out for him.
I was gonna say Knight. Knight should be scared. He's gonna face someone from North America. North America is the best region on this planet, as you guys know.
I mean, Power of Evil is the savior of North America, as I've been saying for the past, I don't know, 2 years. I don't know.
is it just me, or does it feel like FlyQuest is probably the best NA team to be in this group?
Yeah.
Out of the 3 representing.
I don't trust TSM if they were in this group.
They're stylistically wise, probably the least exposable
Mhm.
team. I just feel like they're more flexible than the other ones.
Mhm.
But that's not to say that they're better. They're just
'Cause,
they can adapt better.
Santorin, he was like, I'm forever underrated. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Your team's going up against Top and Dragon X. What do you want me? What would have you first place in the group? What? Like, it's crazy. Like, I think Santorin's
Right.
good, but I mean, hey, Santorin, his playstyle is not going to work against Karsa effectively unless Karsa just doesn't play with hands. I mean,
if Mad slid into this group, is Shadow the best jungler in the group?
over
Karsa?
Over Karsa.
Yeah,
No, bro.
I would consider.
Oh my goodness, you hate Karsa for some reason.
I don't like Karsa.
Karsa has had success in the freaking Flash Wolves. He's had success with RNG. He
didn't have success with RNG. Like the RNG team he was in. Oh wow. Karsa Stan left the call. Sorry.
It wasn't me, no.
No,
I'm back.
Okay, let me find this. Because I believe the RNG in 2018, that was the year they played
IG.
MLXG 2.
Yeah.
Right? And they, like, the MSI they won, I believe they won with MLXG. I could be wrong, though.
No, they won with Karsa, right? I'm pretty sure.
They had both.
Karsa was on the team, but I thought they played... Here, I'm looking right now, because I'm interested. I wanted to remember. I thought they played... Okay, you're right. They played Karsa in the finals. I don't know. I just look back to how bad he was in spring, but I don't know. I think Shadow's insane too.
Ooh,
but
this would be a tough group. But yeah, you guys had topics too for certain things. Did you guys want to tackle those?
Yeah, I wasn't here last week, so TSM fans rejoice because I've been talking shit about your team. I was wrong. You guys won. I still don't think you guys are that good, but you were better than everyone else. Congratulations.
What kind of apology is that?
I was wrong. I was wrong. They were better than everyone else.
Oh my god.
No, but seriously, I have to eat my words somehow. So I'm over here eating a bunch of chips of regret right now.
I think you guys aren't that good. You guys won, but congrats.
I mean, they won. You guys won North America, so that's like that's winning. That's like winning an intramural beer league softball championship. So.
Oh my god.
I mean, I wouldn't say this is super important news, but I just found this interesting. Origin is rebranded to Astralis now, and I don't find that to be that smart of a move.
It's what they should have done in the first place.
You think they should have entered the league as Astralis?
100%.
Right. It's just weird whenever you rebrand like that, because as a company, like a sports team, your brand is like how you pick up fans, because how people recognize you. Anytime you change your brand name, you always run the risk of
rebuilding.
People. So a lot of people who aren't paying too much attention might just think you're a different team altogether.
And another thing, Deficio's gone too. Deficio's not going to do that anymore.
So I think
he's coming back.
So I think a couple things here with the Origins. I think the reason why they're switching to Astralis is because they probably didn't see that big fan reception from them. I think they just assumed we'll bring back Origins' name and we'll get all their fans, and that wasn't the case. Astralis in the esports scene, especially the sponsors, is seen as a top brand in other areas, especially CSGO, very popular in Europe. So I think linking them up and recognizing like, hey, this League of Legends team is run by the same org as this top tier CSGO team might make it easier for sponsors to recognize and come together and want to put stuff in there. I think Deficio's gone is because the team, because he was kind of like he was like the president / like GM of the team. The team was bad for 2 straight years, so it's kind of like, okay.
I mean, they made a finals, and then it was just weird. Their summer splits. They didn't make playoffs either year in summer split, which is super weird.
I think they were the type of org that were a player-ran org, and I think that's the reason why we have coaches now. Like, even Mithy, he said it for Fnatic, it's going to be more of a player-run thing. I think that is not good, per se. Because you kind of factor in, what are you teaching? Upset, Nuke Duck, Alfari, Xerxes, and what the other guy was? Destiny? Outside of Destiny, are you really teaching the other 4 anything? And then you had Jack Troll. Like, you're telling me you want to win the split with Jack Troll? Get the fuck out of here. Like, what the hell?
That was a real questionable move, but...
You know, I don't
mean, there's also rumors...
Problem, but, you know.
The big rumors is Origin, or I guess now Astralis. They're going to be very cost-efficient next year.
Okay.
So Alfari's going to be a free agent. He's going to go to your other team.
He'll go to North
They're going to
America.
probably go with like a rookie.
He'll go to NA and be on FlyQuest.
Oh my god! If actually they would be super good. Oh, that would be so good.
I think it's better if a team's going cost efficient, especially in Europe. There's so many like teams like Mad and Rogue who kind of have built kind of their own smaller players and haven't splashed for these like amazingly huge names that have done kind of well. I think the rebrand for Origin is probably a somewhat smart move. Like I said, I think they should have came in as Astralis. I know people wanted Origin because back in the day that was the team, Peke, all that fun stuff. You know, they had success at Worlds, but Astralis is the better brand node worldwide with other esports.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think they're the greatest. Haven't they won like 3 majors in a row? Which is like
4 for this year.
They've won 4 majors in a row.
Yeah,
they won a lot. They're essentially like the SKT
of CS.
They win everything.
So they had a dominant like stretch, but now they're like cooling down right now. So right now they're not as good as before.
Isn't a bunch of CS:GO players taking a break though, and all this stuff?
Some of their roster is taking a break, but you know it's not their full healthy lineup right now.
Right.
Okay,
I also like to say that
just the name Astralis is much catchier and much. It sounds like a much better name than.
Yeah, like Origin, I don't know. Outside of like Xpeke and Deficio and Nuke Duck, like I don't think no one really cared about this team outside of their Spanish fans. Like they were really boring. Their playstyle stunk. They only were pretty good because they had veteran players that knew what they were doing. I didn't really like them personally. I thought they were not. I didn't think they were that good, honestly. Like they were literally Team Liquid with slightly better players. That's all it was essentially.
You see, that's what everyone was saying. Like in Spring Split, like Origin is an LCS team in LEZ.
Yeah, they
and
were.
that's the way they played, and that's. I think Alfari might actually come to NA.
Oh,
because
out.
Well, because it's been in previous years, a lot of European players talk about how if you're not on G2 and Fnatic, you're never going to compete. Which that narrative might change now with Rogue and Mad Lions, but the narrative's been if you're not in G2 and Fnatic, go get that money.
So here's two things why I think that's not going to happen. Oh, go ahead, Ravioli.
I mean, you say that like that the percentage might be changing, but G2 still, you know.
You still had G2 and Fnatic in back-to-back finals.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to say that. It's one reason why I'm hopeful for some pretty talented EU players coming to North America, because they're like, well, North America keeps having a different person win the last 3 splits. I have a solid chance, especially when you see how close FlyQuest actually came to winning. They're an organization that never won before. They came really close. Maybe if you're a European top laner.
Sorry.
Well, a couple things I want to add here. First, FlyQuest has no import slots left, so they can't get any. Second, COVID is going to cause people to not come over from Europe this year for 2 reasons. One, traveling to America might, I imagine players might not want to do that given how bad we look at COVID for reasons. But 2, because of COVID, the Trump administration has put a big halt on visas for people outside the country, since our unemployment numbers are so high that last year you barely got Broxa in on a visa. I don't see any European player getting approved for a visa next year for LCS.
Depending on how the situation changes, because anything can change between now and 3 months from now, especially considering the progress on the vaccines and whatnot. So who knows? But I think you're right. If the situation isn't changing that much between now and Spring Split, then yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But
ooh,
like
G2
I said,
World jersey. I'm buying that right now.
We are approaching. There's multiple countries that are very close. They're in human trials for vaccines, so we'll see how that goes.
Something I thought you notice if G2 doesn't go far this year at Worlds, do they make a roster change? Because I feel like they've won enough in Europe to justify trying to go for it internationally.
For me personally,
what do you define? What do you define as not far?
Semis.
They made World Finals? Okay. I mean, it was.
I feel like it's.
I think if they don't make it to finals, they could blow something up a little bit.
But where do they blow up? Do they change top lane?
No.
Do they?
No.
I think you blow up the bot lane. At least the AD carry role. I know that Perks is bad, but I think
you can't drop Perks. They'll drop caps before they drop Perks.
That's crazy. This team is everybody is so good and integral to how the team works. Dropping a single player it just throws it off. That means, would you give caps?
Here's the thing. Here's my argument back. Who says they have to drop Perks? I mean, Caps and Perks were so willing to trade AD carry and mid lane roles to Spring and stuff. Maybe they do a 6-man roster where they have Perks and Caps playing mid lane.
Perks is never going to be benched.
Or how about this? Or maybe Perks or Caps goes to top lane. Who knows?
Oh no!
That's more interesting.
Oh no!
I think Caps probably would get a top lane over Perks, but maybe that's
Perks said he could play a mean top lane.
I'm sure
that would be interesting. I mean, Upset's a free agent, so Who knows?
The thing with giving away caps is that's the same thing we talk about with Reaper. You give away cap, you make someone else extremely stronger. That's
Cloud9 gonna be on speed dial.
Oh, Jack caps. Hey, Niski.
Oh my god.
Goodbye, Niski.
Nemesis would be done.
Niski's like, what did I do? What did I do? Bye. Caps, you're in.
What kind of accent is that, bro? Come on, man.
If Caps even showed the slightest bit of interest in coming to North America and playing for Cloud9, Niski would be out the door so fast he'd be in his pajamas. Jack would literally pick him up out of his bed and toss him onto the front lawn.
Why do I feel like Caps would go to the LPL?
Maybe.
I wouldn't put it past him to be the first Western player to do it.
But yeah, that's
maybe. I mean, who knows?
That's pretty much it. Unless you guys want to talk about anything else that I forgot about, because like when I stepped in, I didn't get a chance to see the topics for someone that if any other thing I didn't already have planned.
So, my question to everybody here: if you were to rank your top 3 teams that you think is going to win Worlds this year, I'm interested to see who you think. Because me personally, it is I have top number 1, Damn1 number 2, and JDG number 3.
I think for me, it's top number 1, JDG number 2, and not JDG, Damn1 number 2, and then G2 third.
I have Damn1 top. I was gonna say I'm curious to see if I'm gonna have like a wild card slot for number 3. I would either say G2 or Gen G. I think people are massively sleeping on Gen G, but as you know, I'm a fan of G2, so I would say G2 as well. I think people also sleep on G2. But the reason why I would have Damn1 over top is because I think that top, as great as they are, they do have an over-resilience on Knight, though. Whereas Damn1, it's a little bit more open, but that's how I would probably phrase it to you guys.
I disagree, because top also has Jackie Love.
Ew, gross. He was on IG.
I'm going top Gen G, then JD Gaming.
I have top Damn1, and similar to Khan, also JD Gaming. I think JDG is very underrated, and they took top to 5 games. And I think not a lot of people, everybody's just memorizing about Knight. But I think Zoom, Kanavi are huge assets, and Loken, Lumao are super underrated. And I think JDG will progressively get better. I think we haven't seen the best of JDG, and as the tournament continues to go on, see the betterment with them.
See, that's my thing with G2. I don't think we've seen the best of G2. And I think G2, I think G2 just gets better. Playing
I'm kind of the opposite. I think G2 is vastly overrated, and I think they've been somewhat vastly overrated for the last year or so.
But how are they over? I just can't see they're overrated.
I don't think they were. Last year they finished second at Worlds, and I do not think they were the second or the third best team at Worlds last year.
Who is better than them at Worlds last year?
Well, I want to clarify, because a
IG?
lot of people think that overrated means bad. Overrated doesn't mean bad. Overrated means they're not as good as people are making them out to be.
Yeah.
Just make sure I'm clarifying that, because a lot of people do think overrated means bad.
Wait, who are your top 3 teams at Worlds last year that were better than G2 there?
Easily, obviously, Fun Plus Phoenix, because I would put IG right above them too, because I don't see a world where G2 could take a game off IG.
Oh, I think they could have, but I'll take that. I think IG would win in a best of 5.
Griffin?
Okay, and then who's the other one?
Griffin actually beat them twice, and then
Griffin.
No, I don't think Griffin was. I think G2 showed
Griffin exposed them in groups the same way FPX exposed them in groups. G2 just wasn't G2 was good, but they weren't this amazing second best team. They were 4th or 5th or 3rd. They weren't even
But I didn't even think G2 played that bad in finals. I thought they were pretty close to winning some of the games.
I think putting them at 5th is kind of a stretch, man. That's my
argument is at least Fnatic could take a game off of FPX where G2 just got their ass pounded.
There was 2 way different circumstances. One was a grand final with all the pressure and the nerves, and I think if you look at the games, FPX is going to play better in a grand final than they are in a quarterfinals versus Fnatic. I just think it's a whole different mentality.
Also, we're comparing G2 last year to Fnatic, where G2 was so completely obviously the superior team when they played them in their region.
Hey, we've seen
that was
numerous-
actually not the trade. That was not the case last year.
Those are two both best of 5 games, and in both best of 5 series, Fnatic was up 2-1. Probably should have won Game 4, but they threw because they're Fnatic against G2. It looks
This
much
is one of the
convincing
best
than this year.
fives of all time, honestly. That G2 Fnatic final.
Like, I think G2 just has a bad... Like, I think having 4 LPL teams this year is a major issue for G2 because they can't beat LPL teams. They just can't. They can't beat really aggressive teams because...
Why
Well,
does the
until-
LPL get to have 4 teams? It's kind of bullshit.
Like, until they beat them, I'm gonna have to see it till I believe it. That's my thing with G2 right now, because they can beat LCK teams, they can beat NA teams, but against Chinese teams, it's just... It's the caliber of players. They're playing against much better players. And that's the thing, though. We have much better players. They contest certain things. They play better at certain moments in the game. They obviously have... why is in North America people contest Dragon with no vision and they haven't prepped for it? Chinese teams don't do that. They prep for Dragon like 5 minutes in advance. Like, these
That
things...
drives me up a fucking wall.
These things
Drives me
that
up a
North
fucking
America
wall.
and Chinese teams... These things that North American and European teams do, these little things, these things get exploited by the Chinese teams. Like, instantly. They already know what you're doing bad, instantly. And now, if they capitalize it or don't capitalize it, that's not really here nor there, but you know what I'm saying, though. But that's pretty much it. G2 are gonna win. G2 are gonna win Worlds. That's it. FlyQuest will be in the finals against G2. Hey,
I think all 3 NA teams are making it to finals. Yeah, all 3 in a 2-team final. Yes.
And Cloud9 rises from the ashes and goes there too.
Correct.
In Group E, Cloud9 T1. What was it? Cloud9 T1. What would it be?
In Group F.
Schalke and IG.
Let's go, boys. That's the real world.
No, Cloud9 would go like 0-6 in that group, man. He'll get this dumpstered.
Do we want to do the usual thing, or we call out things we've been watching, or whatever?
I would say, if we have a TSM versus Damwon finals, just imagine this: Reginald subs in for Bjergsen, Lena subs in for Doublelift. Game 5.
Well, they can't do that.
But you could, though.
I love how your problem with it is they can't do it, not TSM making the finals.
Exactly.
Reginald's like, I got this. Bjergsen, you're finally benched. Just like randomly. But see you guys later. This was actually pretty good. I thought we had a great discussion. See you guys next week. Next week we'll do the top 20 players. It's just so hard rating all the players this year, actually. But I'm gonna try and get my list together. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all, enjoy. See you guys later. Goodbye. I am going to watch.
See you guys.
Hi guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.